Hey, the coaching staff is complete. Let's rank the hires. Let's talk a little bit 2025 recruiting. Let's go ahead and get the ball rolling on it. And then let's talk about this basketball team and the outlook we have for the rest of the season. This Boog bounce back week. You're listening to the Top Button Podcast, episode 15, and I'm Charlie Five, your host. Let's button up and have some fun. But before we do that, we want to give a shout out to our boy Ford Stokes. I'm already seeing folks hit me in the comments saying, hey, I ordered the book. I went to annuity360.net, requested the free book on annuity. Ford signed it, sent it to me. I'm hearing that you guys are already reaching out and requesting your custom investment plan through activewealth.com with Ford Stokes. The guy's got it going on. And there's no reason for you to work so hard to save your money and then you manage it as well. Let Ford protect it. Let Ford help you grow it and get you where you need to be. Check him out, Active Wealth Management, activewealth.com. So, guys, the staff is complete. The staff is complete from top to bottom. We filled all our spots. I feel like as long as I've been watching Auburn football, maybe all the way back into maybe some of the Tuberville staffs, this is probably one of the most well-rounded, top to bottom, from a recruiting perspective, from a coaching perspective, staff that honestly that I can really remember. And that's just not super Boog. That's just reality. You look at the recruiting that these guys are able to do, their histories recruiting, and then all the players that they've developed so far and are able to get them playing at a high level or at the next level. It's incredibly impressive. The one staff change that you possibly could see, Jeremy Garrett, our rock star, young, hotshot defensive line coach, he's been talked about interviewing at some NFL defensive line coaching jobs. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars is the most recent. Obviously, it'd be great for him in his career if he were to get one of those. There's only 32 of them, so they don't give them out to just any bum. Any regular guy. So it'd be a shame. I hate to lose him. I don't think we will. He is a rising star. And you just look at his recruiting class that we're going to talk about so far for 2025, and then the one for 2024 that just signed. Guys, he's a monster. He's a monster on the trail. So that could be, the only other staff shakeup. But for the most part, we're all set. So let's rank the new hires. We got 4 new hires. You had Cadillac go out, Zach Etheridge, and both coordinators. You've replaced them all, and I want to rank them the Charlie 5 rankings of the new hires. So to start off, believe it or not, my number one most important, biggest hire of the offseason was Derek Nix at offensive coordinator. Look, there's no secret that Hugh is going to be I keep saying the captain. There's no secret that Hugh's going to be the play caller this year. There's no secret that he was incredibly disappointed the first time in his career that he kind of gave up the reins. The first time in his career that he was not the one driving the boat, that he was not the one calling the shots. It ended in, I think, what many people would call, and by his standards too, a failure. I think the offense was a failure. I think it was a mess. Some of that was the discombobulation, I guess, of the back and forth. Hugh Freeze maybe calling play some games. Philip Montgomery struggling to get the whole terminology and learning how to do things the way Freeze wants it. It was just a mess. So Hugh said, I'm it moving forward. I've heard people say that he said he's never going to not call plays for the rest of his career. Like this, that's at Auburn. He is going to be the primary play caller from henceforth. Okay. In doing that, he removes himself as probably your primary top recruiting ace. He takes himself off the road to an extent of being your number one gun on the trail. He was the guy leading almost all the big time recruitments that we had last year. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to recruit at all. But he had to have somebody that he felt could put the message out there that could sell the product, what his vision is better than his number one guy, Derek Nix, the guy he wanted to have last season. And they had the issues, and you went in, you did your due diligence, you crossed your you dotted your I's, you crossed your T's. I always say that backwards. You crossed your T's, you dotted your I's, you got it done this time. And now you have a guy that knows how you want to run your offense. And you got a guy that you can trust to pick up the slack on the recruiting trail whenever you're not able to give it that 24/7 and still be able to do it at an incredibly high level. Monumental importance Derek Nix will add to this offense, to this recruiting operation. Look, I love Cadillac. Okay. I love Cadillac, but even back whenever he was retained with Harsin, if you go back and you listen to some of those shows that I had with Zach on Locked on Auburn, the biggest thing was I want my guy that's my running backs coach has to be able to wear a ton of hats in the recruiting department. Okay. It can't be just, I got my room and I'm out, because rarely do you bring in more than one running back per year. The running backs coach needs to be the bell cow recruiter of the staff. Okay. It just has to be able to recruit everybody. And if you go look at Derek Nix's profile, his recruiting profile and his all-time recruit list, it's offensive linemen, it's linebackers, it's wide receivers, it's running backs, it's quarterbacks, it's a little bit of everything. And he did it at a school that's traditional. He did it at an extremely high level at a school that does not typically recruit high school at a high level. So again, for Hugh to be able to take this thing back over, he had to have a dog. He had to have a boss on the trail that knows him to be able to make this work. And he went out and he got his guy, Derek Nix. Derek Nix, offensive coordinator, easily, to me, the most important hire of this offseason. So I'm excited to see those two work together. You've seen him already on Twitter. Like, he's all over the place, man. He's all over the place. He's already got his this running back from Mississippi, Akeelan Deer. He's been at his high school like twice already. Dude is just all over the place. Even with Freeze has been all over the place too, but Derek Nix is popping up everywhere. Every picture you see, it seems like Derek Nix is in the mix, and that's crucial. That's crucial moving forward. That's something that we have to have. Derek Nix, again, my top, most important coach that's added this offseason. My number two of the four, DJ Durkin, hands down. Look, you got probably, when you're talking about best available defensive coordinators, you got him. You got him. I said that Chris Kiffin was my number one because he was Hugh's number one. 1A, I guess, because, for 2 years he wanted to get, Chris Kiffin was his guy. He wanted to go for him twice. He went for him twice. Last year the timing didn't work out, and this year it's looking like Chris Kiffin's probably going to get the Dolphins defensive coordinator gig. And look, hey, I can't blame him. Look, you work 6 months a year. You work 6 months out of the year. You go home at 3:00, and you don't have to worry about the portal. You don't have to worry about recruiting. You don't have to worry about NIL. You don't have to worry about recruiting back your own roster. You just show up, you coach, you scheme, you go home. Maybe, and honestly, it may not pay quite as much, but still, the quality of life is huge. There's only 32 of those jobs in the country, and so look, if you get one of those, more power to you. I get it. If your aspirations are to be an NFL coach, or heck, even a college head coach, being a coordinator in the NFL is a successful one. Makes you a very appealing college head coach. So a candidate for a college head coach. So what does Freeze do? He goes to his 1B and he gets DJ Durkin, who personally I wanted when those two names surfaced. I wanted Hugh to get his guy just because I think that means a lot for Hugh just to get the guy he wants. But if I could have picked, DJ Durkin was the guy that I would have picked. And I said that even before he was hired a couple of shows ago. Look, you're talking, the only stat that matters as a defensive coordinator is scoring defense. Okay. I don't care how many yards you give up passing. I do not care where you rank in rush defense. I totally understand that sometimes those are one and the same, and they depend on each other a little bit, scoring defense and then those. But if you're throwing for 500 yards a game on us, but you're only scoring 17 points, I'm happy. I'm happy. Keep them out of the end zone, and his defenses do that. In every single conference he's been in, he's always been at the top 4 to 5 in scoring defense in the conference that he plays in. And at Texas A&M, he had like a top 30 scoring defense in the country both years. Okay, if Hugh can get the offense rolling, and then we can limit points. If we can limit the opposing teams to scoring under 20 points a game, we're going to win a lot of football games. We're going to win a lot of football games. And I think DJ Durkin was the best guy, hands down, available to be able to achieve that, Now, a lot of people that want to have a narrative, they'll point at Ole Miss in 2020 and 2021, COVID year, when Lane, I think, first took over, limited, I guess, access with the team. His first year there, terrible roster. They had a very bad scoring defense. It happens, okay? Taking over, it takes time to build. The very next year, they go from dead last in the conference in scoring defense. I've said this 100 times, to 8th or 9th, almost at 50, almost right there halfway, at almost in the top half of the conference, just a little bit outside. Huge improvement in 1 year. And then he said, I cannot stand working for Lane Kiffin. I got to get out of here. There's nobody out there. If you're in this whole, like this new fake rivalry that we have with Ole Miss, where we're pretending that Ole Miss is not having like the most historic run of their career or historic run of maybe ever, and we're pretending that they're actually a real thing for longer than Lane Kiffin's actually going to be there, or they'll be that past time when Lane's there. If we're getting all into that, and we don't like Lane Kiffin right now, there is no one out there that dislikes Lane Kiffin probably more than DJ Durkin, and vice versa. So you have a guy that's going to be hell-bent on trying to shut him down when he gets here. So that's got to make you happy in and of itself. You have a guy that, if Nick Saban doesn't retire, he's the defensive coordinator at Alabama right now. Just huge addition from a play calling standpoint. Always has a stingy defense, does not give up a ton of points, very active, get after it, attacking style of defense, which we really liked outside of the 4th and 31 against Alabama. I felt like we kind of had that with Ron Roberts. So you're sort of replacing Ron Roberts with hopefully, a younger, more maybe a little bit more innovative Ron Roberts that's incredibly respected across the SEC. And not only that, he's got name recognition. He's a great recruiter. He was recruiter of the year when he was a linebacker coach in 2012 at Florida. Now, I understand that was 12 years ago, but also that's the last time that he was not in a recruiter role. He's moved. When you move, you go from a position coach to a coordinator, obviously your recruiting workload drops significantly. So DJ Durkin, we are going to like this guy. We're going to like this guy a lot. He's going to be energetic. He's going to be fiery. He's going to get after it. And I think we're going to enjoy the brand of defense that he plays. I think it's going to be a little bit more in your face, a little bit more Kevin Steele, like a little bit more bump and run, man coverage on the outside, and then just nasty defensive line, get after you with freaky athletic linebackers that are coming in. So as well. So it's going to be fun to watch. I think we're I said last show, I liked where we are on just the front end of like the starting defensive line. We got to bring in some depth. I think that's going to be one of the big goals of the spring portal is to try to, you know, Will Redmond is going to earn his stripes at GM, you know, locating, pinpointing some possible prospects, defensive line prospects in the portal to get there in there for DJ to rotate around and cause havoc. So DJ Durkin, I could not be more excited about a defensive coordinator candidate than I am for DJ Durkin. So hire number 3 out of the 4, Charles Kelly. It's easy to me. Charles Kelly. Look, huge transition in the state of Alabama. Okay. Huge transition in college football with Nick Saban being gone. And typically when a coach of that caliber leaves, it sort of creates a vacuum. And somebody's got to step in and fill that vacuum. And for whatever reason, Alabama's Kalen DeBoer did not really go out and hire what I feel like is a guy that can really go in or really pick up the slack in the state of Alabama. You had your guy, your Freddie Roach, that is pretty much it, I guess, unless you think that the guy from South Alabama, I can't even remember his name, the head coach from South Alabama that's coming in as your defensive coordinator, unless you think those are going to be your guys, everybody else is basically from elsewhere. They're going to have to come in and somebody's going to have to point them in the direction of Thompson High School, point them in the direction of Viger and Mobile and Saraland. It ain't going to be that. It's not like it's going to be that difficult to find them. But as far as creating and fostering those relationships, there is a vacuum there. And for Auburn to hire and Hugh Freeze to hire Charles Kelly, there is no high school in the state of Alabama that he can walk in and the coaching staffs there won't know who he is. He knows the lunch lady, he knows the secretary, the superintendent, he knows everybody. Okay. And to have him on staff when what I would consider this vacuum was created after Nick Saban left, for him to be able to sort of jump in and we can push and we can continue to push in the state of Alabama. Monumental hire, not only from a recruiting perspective, but just an absolute nasty coaching perspective. He's going to be your safeties coach. He's coached some of the best. I mean, he's coached at Florida State when they were in their heyday, having just first round pick after first round pick. And then he's been at Alabama the last 3 or 4 years with all of their, plethora of high level NFL prospects, especially on defense. I really think they had a resurgence, this past year as well on defense before Saban left. And, you had guys come in like Caleb Downs that Charles Kelly tutored that were just unbelievable players. So he's got a lot of experience there. And he's going to step into our secondary, hit the trail. Huge for the vacuum that was created when Saban left. I think it was a very, very crucial hire. Number 3 on my list. And then number 4 on my list, obviously by default, is Kent Austin. And that's not really saying anything negative towards Kent Austin, because his role is absolutely massive as well, because he's essentially going to be your de facto offensive coordinator, so to speak, from probably your game planning perspective, because he was Hugh's offensive coordinator at Liberty. His title is going to be quarterbacks coach, and he's incredibly widely respected as a quarterbacks coach. And now he's going to be on the field doing that. And his focus is going to be game planning, quarterbacks coach. He's going to do some recruiting, but he's not really going to be leaned on to be a recruiter. He's more in a developmental role, offensive coordinator, assistant offensive coordinator without that title type role. So him plus Nick's just free Hugh up to be able to recruit and continue to build. Love these 4 hires. There's probably an argument there's a good argument to probably have any of them as the most important hire. That's just the way I see it for right now. So love the hire so far. Hopefully we keep Jeremy Garrett, and we're set and we're done, and we're already starting to game plan for spring and moving forward from there. So again, fired up about this staff. One of the most fun seeming staffs that we've had, top to bottom, since easily the Tuberville days. And honestly, maybe you could even go back to some of the Pat Dye staff. So good things happening on the Plains from a football perspective. Get fired up about this staff moving forward. All right, before we move on to recruiting, we want to give a shout out to plainscoffee.com. Use coupon code BUTTON for 10% off. Let's throw away all this old coffee that's months old, that's in a plastic container that's been, sitting on a shelf for months at a time. Let's just end that. Let's just end that. Let's get our coffee. Let's order our coffee and have it freshly ground before it ships. That sound great. Well, that's what happens at Plains Coffee. So you get all your different roasts that you can get at the grocery store. Anything that you typically buy there, you can get at plainscoffee.com. And then if you don't like coffee, they have teas and things like that as well. So check them out. Use coupon code BUTTON, save 10% off, and get you some good fresh coffee. You can smell it from the mailbox. It's that fresh. So plainscoffee.com. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. It's still really early, but it's not really that early anymore. Recruiting is starting to pick up. You're starting to see kids commit. We haven't really had one in a while. I want to say I would think probably the coaching transition and just the portal and things like that. High school recruiting kind of got put on a halt, halted a little bit. You had the hire of Will Redmond, your new GM of player personnel. So recruiting for 2025 has taken a little bit of a backseat, but I think is a really about to ramp up, and it's really kind of already ramped up. But you know what? When you already have 8 commits in this class, and you're sitting at number 8 in the country, you can afford to sort of take some time to recalibrate your staff, recalibrate your strategy. And then once the visit period has been open, where coaches can get on the road, kids can come visit, you can put the pedal to the metal and start getting after it again. That visit period closes again this weekend. So you're going to have a dead period, and then it'll open back up a little bit around spring when coaches can go start evaluating and go visit again. So the 2025 class so far, like I said, you're sitting at number 8 in the country. Your top player so far, Kendarius Reddick, number 32 in the country. Okay. And I look at the On3. I'm looking at the On3, On3 rankings. Number 32 on On3, number 74 on the composite industry average. Safety from Thomasville, Georgia, blockbuster safety. You're starting to bring in all these great defensive backs. And he's just another one. He was one of your earlier commits, and I think people sort of forget about him, but he would have been one of the higher rated prospects in our last class. So great to have a kid like him on early. And then it's a lot of beef after that. Then it's a lot of beef. And I think this class is going to be beef heavy, hulking super teen heavy. You've got 4 defensive linemen are already committed, with your headliner being Antonio Coleman from Saraland, number 117 overall. And then you have Jacaleb Falk, an edge from Highland Home, who's got a teammate that Auburn's probably still going to pursue, who's committed to Notre Dame for now. We'll see if Auburn pushes. He's another edge, freaky outside linebacker type player. And then you got your Jordan Crawford, who I think he's probably my favorite player in the class. Another big defensive lineman from Parker. Malik Autry, big-time defensive lineman from Opelika. Kalen Edwards, a big-time defensive lineman from Tennessee. All this beef. And then you got your big tight end, Ryan G, for 2025, your more traditional inline tight end, and then you got your big offensive tackle Spencer Dallin from Athens, Alabama. So I think you're going to see Auburn go hard on offensive linemen. You already think about guys like Micah DeBose, like um, I think it's Travarius Dyson. You got guys like Dontrell Glover, who is his teammate at Langston Hughes. All these high 4-star guys that Auburn's sitting pretty with that could go at any time. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of push there. But the guy that I think could maybe be the next to commit. I would say one guy that we really like a ton is another safety product that I think could possibly end up being a high 4-star flirt with a 5-star from Thompson, Anquan Fagans. Again, maybe I'll rephrase that. Maybe not next to commit, but maybe your guy that's the hottest that you're pushing the hardest for right now is Anquan Fagans, he's a kid. We don't get a lot of kids from Tom. We haven't historically got a lot of kids from Thompson. You get Caleb Harris last year. If you could get Anquan Fagans this year, you got their quarterback that's going to be a stud in the next year's class. Like, could you start a little pipeline there? They always have good players. It'd be great to sort of build something there. Anquan Fagans for sure is one to watch moving forward. And there's several others. I mean, we could do this for hours and go position by position, but get yourself familiar with the current class. They all seem pretty rock solid. There's a few guys that are taking visits, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. You're already sitting with the number 8 class. You're going to only go up from here. It's all super high caliber guys already. It's very similar. It's got a very similar start to last year's finish. Last year it took us a while to get heated up. Already have the ball rolling this year, and they're all quality guys. It's not just numbers; it's super quality dudes. So recruiting is going to be something that's going to be fun every single year because this head coach puts such a premium on high school relationships and high school recruitings. Hugh feels like if I can get a kid here and I can build the culture to a point where we have that relationship and we work together and we're on the same page, that's a lot more valuable than just going for a quick one and done out of the portal, flipping dudes in, essentially, paying mercenaries to come in, and we'll see how that strategy works out. I mean, we got a couple of case studies out there of dudes that are doing the opposite. So I'm anxious to see how this whole thing plays out. We're going to be in the mix for all the top guys. So this 2025 recruiting class, I believe, could end up being better. I think you're talking, top 5-ish type class this year. And I think Hugh would probably be disappointed if it wouldn't. I think he would say I did a bad job if I've assembled the staff that I have, if we're not flirting with a top 5 class. So recruiting is bright. Recruiting in general is going to be fun. So buckle up because we're going to have a blast, I feel like, on the recruiting trail for quite a while moving forward. So last thing I want to talk about, and I don't want to harp too much on this and sound preachy, but talk a little bit of basketball outlook. Auburn has a tough week last week. That's why I labeled this week Boog bounce back. You go on the road, you have 2 quad 1 games, which means you're playing 2 teams inside the top 75 in net on the road, and you lost both. You had a chance, I think, in both games to take a lead late. You had a chance to win the Alabama game late, and you just couldn't quite pull it out. I think you lost both by a combined less than 10 points. So basketball is so incredibly different than football. Okay, you lose one game or you lose 2 games in a row in football, and it sinks your season. It really does. Maybe not so much now with the 12-team playoff, but in general, you lay 2 eggs and you're done. You're done. You're more than likely, especially 2 conference games. You're completely out of the SEC championship picture. You'd be completely out of the BCS picture when it was the BCS, and then the 4-team playoff. You're pretty much I don't even know if there's ever been a 2-loss team that's gotten into the 4-team playoff. So I get it. We're a football school. So you lose 2 conference games, you lose 2 back to back, and you lose 1 to Alabama. You think, okay, the wheels are off. Let's go ahead and pack everything up, and we'll talk about next year. And then now we're questioning whether Bruce can win big at Auburn and stuff like that. And Bruce had to basically say, guys, this is college basketball. Like, it's hard to win road games, and it is. For the first time this year in such a long time, the record for top 10 teams versus non-ranked teams on the road is barely 500. Think about that. Top 10 teams in the country facing non-ranked teams on the road, and they have just barely a winning record. I think there's 27 losses at this point in the season. It's unheard of. It's with the transfer portal, with everything that's going on in college basketball. It's really, really hard in general to win on the road. Look at Auburn's home record. We're like 14-2, and we're up right now as I'm recording. We're up 16 on Vandy at home. Teams shoot better at home. Teams, you got your home field advantage, up 18, and it's just hard to win on the road. Auburn's won two road games this year. They're going to win more road games this year. They're going to have some good matchups. They're going to play some tough teams. But the thing is, all the goals that Auburn has, even after last week, are still in play. All the goals are still in play. Alabama's the only team right now that only has 1 loss in the conference. Your Tennessee's already had 2 losses. Kentucky's already had 2 losses. Alabama's not going to win out. They're gonna have to play some tough. They're gonna have to play some tough teams on the road. They're gonna have to play some tough teams at home. It's a tough conference. I think teams 1 through 5 are pretty dang good. Tennessee can beat anybody. Kentucky can beat anybody. Alabama can beat anybody. I think Auburn can beat anybody. And right now, South Carolina can beat anybody. So that's 5 teams right there that are absolutely, top of South Carolina's beaten Tennessee and Kentucky. They're tough, and we're going to have to play them, I believe. Let's see. We have to play so we get to play South Carolina at home. So that's going to be they went to Knoxville and beat Tennessee on the road. So they're for real. They're for real, but you do get them at home. And I think Auburn has probably the best home court advantage in the country, and definitely in the conference. So again, there's no reason to freak out. There's no reason to panic. The only time you really start panicking is when Auburn can't shoot threes. And it seems like it's always been that way. When Auburn starts struggling at home from 3, when Auburn starts struggling on the road from 3, that's whenever you start to kind of panic, because there's a statistic that I think no team has ever won the national championship or really gone mega deep in the national championship in the modern era with a shooting percentage from 3 below like 35%, and Auburn is somewhere around 31, 32, around the 200 mark in the country. They got to get better. Some of that's sort of stacked by some incredibly terrible road performances. They shoot amazing at home. Just for an example, tonight, Auburn is 9 of 23 so far in this game from 3. 39, right at 40%. If Auburn shoots 39, 40% from 3, they're not losing many games. They're just not. They're going to be, because they play such good defense. We play incredible, incredible defense. If you can shoot threes and not turn it over, this team consistently under Bruce plays scrappy, scrappy defense. Held just about every team to their season low in points. I think Alabama averages somewhere in the neighborhood of 89 to 90 points a game, and we held them to 79. At their place. We just play really solid defense, and there's just not many weaknesses even when we sub on defense. So Denver Jones is having a big game tonight. I think Denver and Jalen are the keys to the season because both of those guys can score volume. They're very good 3-point shooters, and you got to have those guys step up because Broom's going to give you his. Okay, Broom's going to give you his double digits every single night, whether you notice it or don't. You're just going to look up and he's going to have 15 points and 8 rebounds, and then he'll have a game where he scores 25 like he did at Alabama. So again, the SEC is really tough. Okay, you play Vanderbilt tonight. You're looking like you're going to pull this one out. You're up by about 20 right now. You go to Ole Miss. They're tough. Okay, they just beat. I believe they just beat Mississippi State this past week. They're only 5-3 in the conference. They beat Mississippi State at home. So you got Ole Miss on the road. Then you come back home and you have Alabama at home, which I feel like we'll be favored in that game. I still like the matchup with them. We don't really have a good answer for Sears, their point guard, but defensively, he's very good. He can get to the hole. He can finish. But at home, we can shoot. At home, we can score. And we're going to play defense regardless. So I like that game at home. You go to Florida, that's always tough. Then you got South Carolina, Kentucky at home. Both of those are winnable. Both of those are losable. You go to Georgia, they're playing a lot better. You go to Tennessee, probably, arguably one of the best teams in the conference. You get Mississippi State back at home. You go to Missouri, and then you get Georgia back at home. So, midway through the season, I feel like if you were to split the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you split the last 10 games, you go 5-5. I'd love to go maybe a 6-4, 7-3 in those last 10. You're going to be looking at a 4 or 5 seed in the tournament, and I think that's about where Bruce thought this team would be, a 4 or 5 seed. And if you're a 4 or 5 seed in the tournament, anything can happen. You're going to get a great matchup in the first round, and then you get to play the other 4 or 5 seed, which in theory should be a pretty good matchup for you. So, and then if you do any better than that, you're looking at a 2 or a 3 seed. So I think right now the projections after this past week are somewhere around a 3 seed. I'd take it right now. I'd be fired up about a 3 seed. Again, we're just in such uncharted territory as Auburn basketball fans that I think sometimes we take things maybe take things a little bit for granted. So the road performances were bad. The shooting was bad. But as long as we can figure something out and get Denver Jones rolling and keep him rolling, we're going to be fine. You got to shoot threes. You have to be able to shoot threes. We got to get better there. And we're having a really good night from the line tonight at home. Let's take what we've learned and sort of move forward with that. Denver Jones is 3 of 4. I don't think he needs to shoot less than 6. He needs 6 looks every night. He's got the best pure jump shot, I think, on the team. I think he's got the best shot on the team, the most repeatable, the best looking shot on the team. Scored 19 points tonight. So far, he's got his season high no matter what happens for the rest of the game. So keep getting him involved, and then, Jalen's got to keep being the Jalen that he's been, sort of his awakening the last couple of weeks. He did take a week. It seemed like he took a week off, but got to get him back going. And he's having a pretty good game tonight too. He's got 16 points so far with about 6.5 minutes left. So hopefully we cruise to this win. Looks like, I think the spread was somewhere around 18 and we're up by 22 right now. Let's see if Denver almost made another one, but he hit a little bit deep, but still good bounce back. Now let's go to Ole Miss. Let's win at Ole Miss. And then we got two home. I think we come back. We got two tough home games. I'm sorry. No, we got Alabama and then turn around and go to Florida. So next week's going to be tough too. So it doesn't get any easier. So let's try to win these two. Hopefully we win this. We're going to win this one. We should win this one, and then we'll win. Hopefully go and win on the road at Ole Miss, and then we'll all feel better. Hopefully we'll all feel better. But pace yourself with basketball. Their wheels aren't falling off yet. So pace yourself when it comes to watching basketball. The only thing that really matters is getting to the tournament. Tournament appearances and then trying to make a run in the tournament. So, guys, I can't thank y'all enough for watching. I can't thank y'all enough for participating. All the comments are fun. We have a ton every single show, and I try to have some sort of communication with all of you. Broom just hit another three. Shooting so good from three tonight. I love communicating. I love having fun in the comments. So like, subscribe, and then hit a comment, and we can have a conversation. So again, thanks again. Y'all have a great weekend. Let's try to pull off this dub, keep the Boog bounce back going, and then we'll get back Tuesday and talk about it. And hopefully we'll have some commits or something over the weekend that we can talk about as well. So again, appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend. War Eagle, and stay button.